And joining me now, the first woman to ever fly a combat mission for the U.S. Air Force, the first to command a fighter squadron, and a former leader of counterterrorism operations in Africa. Newly elected Congresswoman Martha McSally. Congresswoman, good to see you here tonight. Thank you for being here. And so Tom Cotton, you could see it was personal for him, the idea of closing Guantanamo Bay. And I know that many, including those who have fought abroad, say, why would we be releasing our enemies while the battle is still ongoing? Your thoughts on it?
Absolutely, Megan. Thanks for having me on, and I agree. When I deployed my squadron to Afghanistan and working with special ops there, squadron of A-10s, we were often seeing those on the battlefield that had been released and returned to fighting. Same thing when I ran counterterrorism operations at U.S. Africa Command. So on the House side this week, we had several classified and unclassified briefings. I'm on the Armed Services Committee, and I'm on the Homeland Security Committee. And look, we've got thousands and thousands of foreign fighters that are flowing through to help out in ISIS, in Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. The majority of those at Gitmo right now are from Yemen, and Yemen's instability puts us in a position where we don't even know if we're going to have a partnership to be able to address that terrorist threat.
Well, the administration is talking about bringing them here, to the United States, and you know, that would change their zip code to something domestic.
Look, we are in a generational fight with radical Islamist extremists. And I can say that, I guess the president won't. But it's a generational fight. We have enemy combatants. And it seems like, again, even this week, you know, the King of Jordan was more emboldened and showed more resolve than our own commander-in-chief is in dealing with this very serious threat. So the last thing we need to be doing is returning any of these to the battlefield. They're enemy combatants. So let's focus on fighting the fight with a real strategy that addresses this threat that is more serious than I've seen in my whole lifetime, and not these campaign promises.
But they believe, they see, you know, the critics of Gitmo seem to believe that it is used as a recruiting tool by terrorists. And just today, the defense official who testified pointed out that the Jordanian pilot who was burned alive by ISIS, the journalists, American journalists who were executed by ISIS by beheading, were dressed in orange jumpsuits, which he points out were worn by the prisoners at Abu Ghraib, and there was an exchange. Hold on, we've got it teed up, I believe, on that. Listen.
It is no coincidence that the recent ISIS videos showing the barbaric burning of a Jordanian pilot and the savage execution of a Japanese hostage each showed the victims clothed in an orange jumpsuit.
Does he have a point? He's talking about how we dress the prisoners down at Gitmo.
No, he doesn't. This is all part of the propaganda, again, of these Islamist extremists. And they're trying to use an excuse to say this is why we need to attack America and why we're against them. And as Senator Cotton pointed out, they didn't have Gitmo in the 1998 embassy bombings or the 2000 USS Cole or on 9/11. Look, this is propaganda, and it seems like our own administration is actually buying that propaganda. So that is a flawed argument. We have a organization here who is a serious capability, is a threat to our national security, a threat to our way of life and our national interests, and this administration is failing to even call it what it is and have a strategy to address it.
What about on the topic of Jordan now and the assistance that we're providing them? As a former pilot yourself, they needed more help. They said they're going to unleash hell on ISIS now. And we had General McInerney on the program the other day saying what we're doing now from the air is, he called pinprick strikes, which he said is not enough. The UAE just bailed from our coalition, saying we don't think that the search and rescue situation set up for pilots is adequate for us to participate in this any longer. What's your take on it?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I agree that these are pinprick strikes. I believe we're doing very anemic response. We're not allowing the military to use its full force to actually address the threat and go after the targets. You know, the Obama administration is telling the enemy what we're not going to do. You know, we're not going to do this and we're not going to do that, and this is when we're pulling out. We have got to let the military do what it can to address this at the military level and use all elements of national power, obviously, to defeat and destroy this threat. I also ran our combat search and rescue in the Middle East when I was deployed over there once, and boy, When we send men and women into harm's way, our pilots in single-engine aircraft like the F-16, we've got to make sure we have a very robust capability. So if they get shot down, we can immediately protect them overhead and provide that protection, locate the survivor, and protect them until we can get assets in there to get them out. That's a covenant that we have with those who fly into combat, and we need to be supporting our allies as well. And so, look, this is a very anemic response. We need to step it up. We've had a lack of a strategy, and we need to use all elements of power to destroy this threat.
May I just say, on behalf of women everywhere, you sound like a badass. Can we say that on TV? I mean, it's just like, it's so impressive. I love hearing about a strong, powerful woman doing things like, you know, when I ran counterterrorism over in the Middle East. Anyway, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Megan. I appreciate it.
Right? Just like, somehow it's empowering. Like, yeah. Okay.